When we were little kids, we often heard the words, "good job," from adults when we did something positive. That something was usually simple, like tying our shoes or sharing a toy with a little sibling. We went on to school where there was even more feedback. Report cards, gold stars, high fives. We walked across the stage at graduation as people clapped. Some of us did it twice, or even 3 times. Then we get to the workplace and the good jobs stop. And feedback slows down. Who decided we don't need a pat on the back at our jobs? We use positive affirmation with kids so that they will repeat good behaviors. So why wouldn't managers do the same to see repeat motivation and success in employees? From now on, as a people leader, treat your employees like kids. I'm Kaylee Savona, and we are The Recognition.
Welcome to The Recognition. My name is Neely Adkins. I'm here with Kaylee Savona. Kaylee, how are things?
Things are great today.
That's awesome. Hey, we are kind of like, we're professional podcasters. I mean, we don't have any sponsors yet, but I feel like we're getting the hang of this. We're a couple episodes in. I know the early episode jitters. It didn't help. We brought the CEO in for episode 1. We kind of started off a little hot, but you were able to sit down with Lisa Moody earlier this week. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. I was able to talk to Lisa about that transition from traditional recognition programs to modern and everything that goes into that. Everything from cost to effort and time. When there's some blockers for making that switch when people feel stuck in their old ways. We got to talk about all of those things and learn about why modern recognition can be so impactful and wonderful.
Awesome. Well, I can tell you firsthand, Lisa Moody is the hardest working woman in show business. She does a lot as the customer success manager for Recognition, works with people in various situations, dealing with various struggles. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation. Here is Lisa Moody.
Our guest for today's podcast episode is Lisa Moody. Now, Lisa is the manager of customer success at Recognition, and she has worked with tons of different clients facing a ton of different types of challenges. And I'm really excited for her to share her insights from all of her experience. How are you today, Lisa?
Well, hello there. I'm really excited to be here and to share some feedback on all things recognition.
Wonderful. Now, I do want to first thank you for taking out your time. I know you're a super busy woman. Mm-hmm. You manage the client experience and make sure everything runs smoothly. So I know that a lot goes into that. So I really appreciate your time.
Of course. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So today we are talking about the move from traditional to modern recognition. So I'm wondering, Lisa, if you could describe what you believe is a traditional recognition program.
Yeah. So I'd like to start off by defining recognition. It's an acknowledgement and an appreciation of an employee's hard work and contributions to an organization. Knowing this, historical programs outlined, in my opinion, one major objective, and that was really tenure, right? That was the focus back then. Those programs were created to acknowledge and retain their employees. Fast forward to where we are now, and employees aren't staying at organizations nearly as long. You ask yourself why. I think the newer generation is seeking more. They crave respect, values, and a culture of continuous recognition through peer-to-peer interactions.
So traditional recognition, would you say, was more of just those cash bonuses and those service awards that were only coming along about every 5 years?
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Getting the catalog, kind of looking at your traditional products, a globe, or some type of trophy or crystal item was really kind of the norm.
And now there's so many of these various technology platforms. I mean, recognition isn't exactly a rare technology. So there's all of these different ways that employees can now get that daily recognition in today's workplace. And it seems like there is a greater focus on, you mentioned some things like just, having more purpose and creating those connections. There's a bigger focus on overall well-being. Is that what you're hearing from all of your HR contacts as well?
Absolutely. I think the game changer here is really the technology and the fact that we can do instant gratification through the technology, SMS text messaging, the app. So we're just reaching many more of the employees regularly from day one to really the day they retire.
For sure. And there do seem to be a lot of studies out there about modern recognition being the new thing that everyone needs in order to see results with employee engagement and retention, increased productivity and loyalty. So I'm wondering if you can answer for us, what do you think makes modern recognition more effective today than that traditional recognition? Like, what's been the biggest game changer?
Sure. So I think just to to recap that, I think it's the technology and the fact that we can reach people instantly. Mm-hmm. You have to look at it as you're always upgrading your Outlook and your other technology. Why would you keep a program from, 20 years ago the same way when you wouldn't keep the same software from 20 years ago in your organization, right? So it's making sure that we have the up-to-date tools and resources to recognize your employees, and reaching all of the generations. There's really 5 generations that you're touching. And I think the more features and options that you have, you're reaching someone in some way through those different generations.
You mentioned all of these different generations that are working together right now. It's a very unique time when we have 5 generations all working together, and there can sometimes be this gap between generations. Mm-hmm. Do you think that this technology can bring everyone together despite all of the different ages and perspectives?
Absolutely. I believe it fosters the relationship. So having the multiple ways to access the technology, whether it's the app or the traditional platform, it brings everyone together. Really you can see what's going on in the organization from all avenues, and it builds a connection amongst everyone. Young or old or tenured or just there a couple of days. So it starts that contagious feeling of recognition from peer to peer. And I think that's what everybody's craving right now. And it's getting those people that maybe weren't so familiar with that to maybe understand and get those feelings of, oh yeah, this does feel good. I like to receive the recognition and I also want to give it too.
Can you talk a little bit more about that peer-to-peer recognition and how that can make a difference in a company's culture?
Absolutely. Peer-to-peer creates a cycle of recognition. As I just mentioned, it's contagious. You want that good feeling of, hey, you did a great job. You want to boost your teammates up. And in turn, you get that back. And, what we're really pushing for now is recognition the moment you start, right? Day one of, hey, welcome to the team, and making you feel really welcomed and that you made a good decision. And ultimately passing that on to your peers, right? Whether that was through training, hey, week 1, and I've already had an amazing experience with these 5 people. Let me go give some recognition. And you just start that behavior from the beginning, and it becomes just natural and contagious, and you just want more of it.
Hey there. Thanks for listening so far. Just a quick timeout to tell you that we're all new here, and we're really looking forward to connecting with other like-minded people leaders like you that seek to create a more engaging and grateful culture at work. That's why we've created a group on LinkedIn as a place to share stories and information, engage in conversations, and to meet new people. The link to this group is in the episode description, or just simply search The Recognition on LinkedIn. I look forward to seeing you there. Okay, now back to the episode.
Shifting gears a little bit, I do know that cost can sometimes be a concern, especially for HR departments that typically don't receive a budget for something like recognition, especially a formal program. Mm-hmm. So how does that cost and effort tied to a traditional program compare to that of a modern digital platform?
Sure. I think the costs, in my opinion, are pretty similar. You have to think about those traditional programs, right? There was more of a print process, lots of more manual work, so more HR burden, longer turnaround time, so maybe more customer service follow-up. I think there's just been a shift in how those costs are allocated now. With technology, I mean, you can have a pretty cost-effective program, a really small per user fee, and you're then able to access all of these features right on one platform, right? So if you turn on everything, you pay one set fee. Lots of things are digital now, so you're not seeing those traditional shipping costs that those traditional programs had. So I think it's more of a shift in costs, not necessarily new added costs.
Okay, so a bit of a shift, maybe even saving a few bucks for HR departments with the technology. Mm-hmm.
So additionally, outside of the costs, we're seeing lots of our HR contacts reaching out to us for help, right? We're here to take that burden off of their shoulders. So if they have an upcoming event, whether it's customer service week, right, hospital week, something within the organization, holiday specifically, we're their go-to, right? We are their recognition partner. It's beyond just service awards. It's the day-to-day. How can I help you? How can I take that off of your shoulders? So oftentimes we're the consultants here. Hey, we can add this to the platform. Did you know we could, send communication around this? So just knowing that we have other solutions under kind of one umbrella to really help our HR team members find ways to recognize their employees when they're stretched thin with all of the other things that HR comes with. So it's beyond just the cost. It's the time, it's the effort, it's kind of knowing what's out there. And, our proactive approach is important because if we don't kind of put out there what we have, you'll never know. And you could potentially be saving hours of research by just connecting with your employee experience manager.
I do want to circle back on something you mentioned earlier, which is this idea that some companies have this mentality that if it's not broken, don't fix it. Mm-hmm. And some might just feel stuck. They don't see the need for any type of modern program. So do you have any advice for how to overcome these situations?
Sure. Yeah. So I think companies, clients, they look at the employees, right? And they don't want to disrupt what's not broken, as you mentioned. And it's a hard thing, right? For HR personnel who's working with so many other things going on, do I want to make this change right now? Because I'm going to start hearing complaints from everybody that, hey, it's my 20 year and I wanted that gold coin and now you changed it on me at the 11th hour. Hey, the CEO is very passionate about having this one tradition. It started when his dad opened the company and we can't disrupt that tradition. And so those are some of the sticking points that clients want to continue to offer in a program. And I think there's ways you can tailor that, right? Including those important pieces, but maybe doing a little bit of a twist. How can we still incorporate that gold coin, but tailor some of the millennials and the other generations I talked about where maybe a gold coin isn't as important to them because, what are they going to do with this gold coin where the other people have the history behind it? So I think change can happen. It's really in the communication where your recognition partner can help you with that by pushing excitement. Maybe it's a relaunch and keeping some of those values and traditions with a twist of that new modern technology or other touch points like onboarding, pre-boarding, 3-day, 7-day, 10-day, all those other things that you can incorporate in a program.
So it might not be just a 180 change. It might be a slow integration of keeping some of the old and bringing in some of the new.
Absolutely. I think that's how you can please everybody without causing a big disruption.
Definitely. And for clients that you have seen that previously were only service award programs and have ended up adopting some of those other elements, such as e-cards or a social engine, some type of platform that's modern, how have you seen their organization impacted?
I think the recognition's more individualized. You're seeing that people who really enjoy giving e-cards and receiving e-cards, whereas somebody wants to do more nominations. I think you're touching more people, especially with the hybrid world we're in today. There's a lot of people working from home, some in the office. So having all of those features really gives the employees the opportunity to push that peer-to-peer recognition, feel connected still. and making sure that, this person helped me out a lot, but I don't get to see them in person, but here's a way to say thank you, whether that's just a touch point through an e-card or, pushing off points through a social feed.
There is some level of automation with modern recognition, but it's not really just a set it and forget it type of thing. So how would you say the day-to-day job of an HR leader or people leader has changed because of it does take upkeep and it takes a lot of effort to keep this going?
Sure. An important piece is really partnering with your recognition partner. The technology exists and people use it in so many different ways. It's really up to the teams to work together to understand your vision. What is your culture like? What are your core values? What do you want to get from this recognition program? The more you can understand your client's needs, the better you can tailor the solutions for them. I wish I could say there's no work involved, but certainly there is when you have to try to understand a company's perspective and their goals. So there is some feedback and conversations and understanding of what makes a good program for this organization. So there is some work and communication involved, but once we get that understanding, it's a lot easier to add on to the programs because we have your vision and we can expand off of that.
Lisa, we have covered a lot today, so I do want to ask you personally why you do what you do every day. You're in this space of helping a lot of different clients facing so many different things, and you get to be in this space of helping their recognition programs, whether that's shifting from traditional to modern or doing some type of mix. So what keeps you motivated?
Sure. I think it's the challenge for me. Understanding the client's needs and bringing it to life. It's fulfilling. It's a passion of mine. I want to see them win. I want to hear their success stories. And so with all of the hard work that we put into building out an ideal program, I think what's fulfilling for me is the outcome, running the numbers, telling the story, seeing videos of their banquets or events and seeing tears of joy of, hey, this person is retiring or celebrated 50 or 60 years. Those are the moments that matter the most to me. I can't say that I actually have really good friendships or relationships with a lot of my contacts. So, 10 years in and, now we're talking about families and visiting them. And so that's another fulfilling part to my day is I get to talk to these contacts on a regular basis where we become really good friends and business partners.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time again today, Lisa. Your perspectives are truly valuable for HR and people leaders everywhere who are looking to start making that positive difference in their company culture. So I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us today. And special thanks to The Fracture and Jay Matthews for their original music. Stay tuned for more episodes coming out every week that will touch on the topics that are important to HR and people leaders like you. If you have any recommendations or feedback, or if you are looking to partner on creating a more engaging recognition program, you can contact us at podcast@recognition.com. And as always, thank you.